And good afternoon, everybody. Jim Miller and the man who is back from vacation. I'll tell you, the sun did you a world of good, though, Cappy. You look like you had a good time there, and you're back in town now. You're in the midst of March Madness, but this is kind of racing madness too, Cap, because now the Derby preps are really heating up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm excited. Good to be back with you. We've got a full slate of 4 races this weekend, both domestically and internationally. And Bob Baffert is one of my picks, so I'm ready to go. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And here's the thing that's amazing, because you mentioned Bob Baffert. We're still looking just over a month away from the Derby. As of right now, still none of his horses can get into the race for the Derby, but they can all create a whole lot of havoc when it comes to these prep races for earning points, for taking points away from others. Like we mentioned a couple weeks ago, though, there's still big purse money for all of these races, Cap. So when you're running for your owners and you think you have the best horse, you want to make a whole lot of money. If it means you got to miss the Kentucky Derby, hey, so be it. Some of them don't seem to mind if they're with a guy who's a Hall of Fame trainer in Bob Baffert, and I think that's the choice a lot of people are making. We have 3, count them, 3 Derby preps, and they're at different times of the day. You got the Dubai Racing Carnival, which is taking place in Meyden. Those races are early Saturday morning. Then Saturday afternoon, you got a massive card at the fairgrounds with the Louisiana Derby. And then on Sunday at Sunland Park, you have the Sunland Park Derby and 200-point races, UAE Derby, the Louisiana Derby, a 50-point race for the Sunland Park Derby. But the Sunland Park Derby produced Mind That Bird, one of the biggest upsets ever in the Kentucky Derby a few years back. And that's the reason a race like that gets points.
So I went back and watched that race as I was handicapping. That was with Calvin Bowrail, as we like to call him, Calvin Burrell up. That horse was so far back, and he never, ever moved. He stayed along the rail, and all of a sudden, it was like the seas parted. There's that big lane, boom, and there he goes.
All right, Cap. We're starting out 100-point race in Dubai. This is the UAE Derby. It's race number 5. Again, Saturday morning. You can bet these races, though, online. You can wager at Hawthorne Racecourse. You can wager online, wager.clubhawthorne.com. And, Cap, looking at this field here, and you see 12 there, and then you see 13, 14, and 15 there. There's 16 horses in here, Cap. What was the route that you went for the UAE Derby, and just looking at handicap in this race and kind of how you looked at it and then making your selection?
So as I looked at this, first of all, I truly believe that Bob Baffert wants to stick it to everybody.
Yeah.
He wants to go out and, sorry, you lost your points, because he can't collect, as we've said many times, any points. It's a 140, 20, 10 system. He is favored. I think he's 3-1. Is that what I saw? Pinehurst, 3-1. There's some 2 other American horses have shipped in. There's a Russian horse that is shipped in. There's a Japanese horse. And Pinehurst is a horse that just narrowly beat Seikafu, a Japanese horse that is really, really highly regarded. But I think his 102 Equibase speed figure in the Grade 2 San Vicente sold me. Bob Baffert, that type of speed factor, I'm in.
For me, I'm going to go a little bit different route. Japanese horses have had a lot of success in Dubai in the past. The 6-horse Combustion is a horse that's very intriguing to me. Now, you look at these races, you've had good tracks, you've had muddy tracks. Last 2 races have been at a mile, but the last race was a victory. Here's the thing that I liked. William Buick is a world-renowned rider. He's a guy that rides all over the place. We see him at Breeders' Cup time, especially on the turf course there.
Okay, let me ask you a question. There's a horse in this field, and if you could put the odds back up or check it for me, what are the latest odds on Get Back Goldie?
So looking at the field here, here's the field again. Get Back Goldie is 30-1.
This horse won a conditional race at Meyden last month, and then was 6 in an ungraded stakes at Meyden on March the 5th. So this horse has a lot of familiarity with that track and has had success on that track. I looked at it. I'm like, nah, and I ended up sticking with my guy Baffert. But I thought about taking a shot and rolling the dice with Get Back Goldie.
Get Back Goldie would be a good long shot play. I agree with you there. I think that is a horse that is very intriguing as well, Cap. I think that's a horse that could be a little bit of a factor too. But at the fairgrounds, it is a massive card, another 100-point race here, Cap, and it's the Louisiana Derby. Goes as race number 12. What I'm surprised, Cap, this is $1 million race. There's only 9 in here, and I think it's because of who the favorite is. The 6 Epicenter is a really good racehorse, but you thought you could beat Epicenter in here.
I did. Now, I will tell you, there's a horse in this race that at 28-1 beat Epicenter, and that was a horse, Call Me Midnight, back in January in the Lecomte.
Yep.
But as I went through all of my workout times, you go back and look at the workout times that I love to lean on. Rattle and Roll is putting up like 5 furlongs and 58 back to back. I'm telling you what, this 3-year-old is fired up. It's razor sharp. It's putting great times up. And I think the distance fits. Kenny McPeak is another really quality trainer. So I'm taking a shot on Rattle and Roll.
I'm staying chalky here, Cap. I think Epicenter is that good. Joel Rosario is going to ride this one for trainer Steve Asmussen. You mentioned the loss to Call Me Midnight, but like you said, for the works on your horse, the works on my horse were pretty good as well. March 7th and March 14th, both 59 and change workouts, both bullets at the fairgrounds. Epicenter's running style is a style that I love. Get to the front, push things along, let you dictate what everybody else has to do in the race. If he catches just the slightest bit of a breather, I think he could kick away and win right back.
Yeah, you're going too chalky for me.
Thanks.
Too chalky for me on this one, and I got to try and pile up some points.
Sorry, we're shifting over to Sunday. Sunland Park, 50-point race. The Sunland Park Derby. Cap, for a Derby prep that is worth 50 points here, it's a field of 8. I'll tell you this. Competitive race for this, I don't think there's a single horse that can compete in the Kentucky Derby in this race. What do you think?
Slow Down Andy is the class of the field, I think. I don't know if you agree with me, but at 2-1, I want a little value for my play. So I am going with straight up G. Now, again, 2-1, 5-2, not a huge difference, but I'm thinking that my odds may get a little better because all that money's coming in on Slow Down Andy. I also almost went with Chrome King at 15-1. Chrome King is a good horse, has had great workouts, very sharp, but it's 15-1. And in the end, I went with straight up G.
I went the classic Moment, a horse that comes out of the same race that your horse comes out of. I think this is a horse that could be a threat. And again, Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen. Rosario's riding for Asmussen the day before in New Orleans, and then he's flying over here to New Mexico to ride this race. To me, that was good enough. What do you think?
Okay, what do I do for a living?
You talk sports, man.
Okay, guess who the owner of Straight Up G is?
Who?
Jim Rome.
Jungle Racing. No way.
Sportscaster, I'm in.
There you go. Straight up G for you, Capper. This is your horse. This is your lock in the Sunland Derby. I think this is a horse that could be tough, man. And I'll tell you, just for the same reasons I picked Epicenter in the Louisiana Derby, you get the speed here. How you bet your $100, and you were the one that cashed last time, so I'm going to let you go first, Cap. Man, you got a lot of faith in a 6-1 shot here in the Louisiana Derby there in Rattle and Roll, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot with Rattle and Roll. 6-1. I think you may even end up seeing this at 7-1. Brian Hernandez is a solid jock. Kenny McPeak, I waxed eloquently about before, but I think he had a bad race at Gulfstream. Did not run well. I went back and watched it. He has got a distance, I think, that is better suited for him. So I'm going to take a shot. Rattle and Roll, baby. 50 win, 50 place.
For me, it's early on Saturday morning, the UAE Derby. I'm going with the Japan horse Combustion in here. I'm going to bet that one across the board. I'm using your horse, Cap. I'm using Pinehurst in this spot because Pinehurst is a very good horse. So I'm putting Pinehurst in first or second. Combustion needs to run first or second. Irwin is a horse that is interesting to me because Irwin is a horse that's Argentinian bred. So this is one of those Southern Hemisphere horses. Carries 131 pounds, but this is a horse that's gone longer than the distance in the past, 20-1 in the morning line. So if that horse can get into the mix, I do think Irwin can be a little bit of a factor late as well. Now, next week, Cap, here's what we have on tap. Looking at next week, you get Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby, Jeff Ruby Stakes. And this year, the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway is a 100-point race. This was a race that before used to be kind of one of those undercard races, so you don't maybe necessarily consider it a Derby prep. But Animal Kingdom came out of that race and won a Kentucky Derby. So it's good racing. This is the time of year where things get hectic. So, hey, we got March Madness going on. After this weekend, you're going to be talking Final Four. You're going to be talking the kickoff to the Major League Baseball season. But, man, it is still horse racing season too, my friend.
Looking forward to it, man. Best to you and your family.
You got it. Same to you. Good luck to everybody this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.